Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be rating the Google slideshow themes. Now, coming in at we're not gonna it's not be a 1 to 10 tier list or like a tier list. It's just gonna be rating. That's out of the way. Let's get into it. First one up, it's gonna be Simple Light. I think the white's hard on the eyes, but it's a classic. But there's much better. So I think we're gonna rate this a solid 5 out of 10. Simple Dark, Simple Light, but better because it's a bit easier on the eyes. The white light's not hitting your eyes and it's not hurting, and it's easier to read a white text on a black screen than a black text on a white screen because the white's blinding you. So I think we're gonna give Simple Dark a solid 7 out of 10. Next one up is gonna be Streamline. Now, Streamline is pretty simple but effective. The title screen and then the massive text box screen. The little touch of gray on the top. It adds a lot to it. I think it brings the whole thing together, and the overall lighter colors but still gray atmosphere. I think that actually adds a lot. The default font it uses is also better. I believe this is a font called Railway. Anyway, so I think we're going to rate this a solid 7 out of 10 as well. Next one up is going to be Focus. Now, Focus helps me focus. Focus is very visually appealing, dark but with a couple contrast colors, but they are small enough to where they don't take your attention away, but they're there, so they bring it together. And I think this one is going to be a solid 8.5 out of 10. Our next one up is going to be Shift. Now, I have used Shift back in the day, and I will be fully honest with you guys, I don't think that Shift is the best one, but I do prefer it over the white one. The only thing I would have to say about Shift is that it is not as adjustable as the white one, as a Simple Light. Because now you have the blue, and then you have the blue, white, and mustard color, I'd call it, and the big text box screen. So it has potential, but it's not the best. So I give it a solid 6 out of 10. Next one up is gonna be Momentum. Now, Momentum I would consider Momentum a very circumstantial Google slideshow theme. Thing about Momentum is, it doesn't fit with some. For example, if I were to do nuclear fusion, I would not use Momentum. But if I were to do something to do with biology, I would use Momentum. It makes sense. It brings it together, but it's very circumstantial. And for that, I can't give it above a 7 out of 10. So I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. In terms of colors, though, it is visually appealing, though. So we're going to have to give that. And the font called, I believe, Maven Pro. Very effective. Now, next one up is going to be Paradigm. Paradigm. Is that it?
Paradigm.
Alright, it's Paradigm. Anyway, Paradigm is the next one. It's the one with. See, I am an avid lover of Paradigm. I think Paradigm is the best one, especially for school presentations, and really because, school presentations are like, have photos. Photos are visually appealing. Well, this is the best one. Paradigm splits the main screens in half, allowing one side to be the text and one side to be the images. The color schemes also work really well with each other. In the split one, the small line of, I would call that, what is it called? I don't know that color. But that color, small line, very effective, brings it together, and again, incredibly useful for school presentations. I'm gonna have to give this one a solid 9 out of 10. Really good. Only thing is, that white, I don't like the white. If you change it, for example, to a more gray, I think it would add a lot, because now it's no longer just blurring your eyes, it's much more visually appealing. That's just my opinion though, but it'd have to be a very, very light gray, just enough to where relieves a little bit of stress on the eyes, because otherwise it doesn't look good. Next up is material. Now, I've never used material, but I can see the appeal, okay? The initial title screen, the little almost note card-ish feel with the blue and the white, and the little folding white on the bottom right corner, I can see the appeal. Me personally, I don't think I could find a use for this, because I think there's just superior ones, like Paradigm, but I can see the appeal. Now, that is in the title screen, but once we get into the actual main text block screens, this is where I have a problem with it, because this gray with the white text for the title is insane. It is absolutely disgusting, okay? You can barely read that. It's like putting yellow text on a white screen and asking them to read it from a projector. It's just not as effective, and I think this takes a lot of points off, because you have to, the theme has to bring everything together. It can't just be a title screen, because you can't just have one title screen and then have the theme for it to be the rest. Because of that, I can't give it more than a 5. It had potential, but it didn't live up to it. Next up is the Swiss theme. Now, the Swiss, the orange on the Swiss, you know, I can't like it. I don't like the color orange. On a slideshow presentation, you know, you're going to pop this up on the projector. Everyone's going to be blinded. They're going to think, why is this freak using an orange theme? You know, what is wrong with this man? Get him out of here. You're going to be shunned from society. Now, the reason this is not going to be the lowest rated is because of the actual big text screens. The gray with the line, the 2 black lines, matches up perfectly. This is aesthetically pleasing. It leaves a little bit of room on the side for a, you know, slimish photo. You know, if you were to pop up like a adult South Park PNG there, it would fit in perfectly. That is why Swiss can get a 5.5 out of 10. Still better than Simple Light, and solely carried by the big text screens. If it were for the title, that would have been a solid 2 out of 10, but it got a lot of extra points because this is probably one of the most aesthetically pleasing big text, like main text themes. Coming next up is Beach Day. Now, Beach Day is great, okay? We love Beach Day. The white and the teal in the main title screen, you know, it matches up really well. You know, there's a lot to appreciate. The font in here is incredible. The main font, you know, the mix of the, what is it called? Amatic SC font, and then the Source Code Pro font for the subtitle. And then it carries over as well for the main text box slides. Now, the main text box slides have the gray, and as I said, I love the gray. It's easy on the eyes when you present it up. It's not going to blind people, but it's not going to make it impossible for them to read whatever. You could put a darkish gray font, darkish gray light on the main text on a light gray, and it'll match up perfectly. I would go more black though, just a little bit more reassuring. But I think Beach Day definitely carries a lot of potential, and I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. Next up is going to be Slate. Now, Slate is like Swiss, but opposite. The main slide, the title slide, beautiful. 3 dots in the middle, they bring a lot to it. It's very simple, but it's very effective. Now, what I have to say and talk about is the main title slide. How dare you put a white text on a gray screen? This is a travesty against nature, because in God's green earth, no one's going to be able to read that. And then the light gray subtext is ridiculous. How am I supposed to read that? If I'm sitting in the back of the class and my teacher puts it up, I'm going to walk up to my teacher and slap the shit out of them. This is unacceptable. From a professional, it had so much potential, and it's angering me because it carried so much potential. Slate was on the verge of greatness. If it had kept the energy of the main slide and the title slide, it would have gone a solid, maybe even the glorious 10 out of 10. But because of that, I can't give it a 10 out of 10. And I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of 10. 3-point drop because of that awful white text on the gray screen. Do better. You were so close. We got to do better. Next up, it's going to be Coral. Now, Coral is a definition of mid, okay? The main title slide, you know, I don't think the pink meshes well with the white background. You know, the fonts could have been a little bit more creative. You know, I'm pretty sure the main title slide is a Lato. You know, I like Lato, but it's very simple. If you put some like Comic Sans on that, that might have been a little bit better. Now, it is mid, but I gotta appreciate the gray background on the pink wording. Now, The main text will always be black because you want to see the main text. The main text should be the thing that pops out, and gray is always going to be effective at popping out any black on it. But the pink, I think, me personally, it matches up really well. You know, I would call that more of a salmon color even, and it still matches up incredibly. Aesthetically pleasing, it's just the main title side is leaves a bit to be desired. If that main title side was gray, would have been great, much better. But because of that, I'm gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. You know, the main title side really drags it down a lot, but you know what? No, we're not gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Scratch that. We're gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10 because the main text slides actually do a good job. They do an incredible job. If only the main slide, the title slide could have carried that energy, we could have gone a higher rating. But 7 out of 10. Now, next up is Spearmint. Now, I actually only discovered Spearmint by doing this rating, and I love it. Spearmint is wonderful. The main title slide, you know, the green little line and the... What color would we call that? I do not know what color to call that. I believe this would just be normal dark, really darkish gray, because I can't call it a black. But here's the thing. The green on that really darkish gray works incredibly effectively. Only complaint I'd have is, again, be a little bit more creative with the fonts on the titles. Now, as for the main text slide, that gray with the white, my apologies, that gray with the greenish could have been better. If you make the gray a little bit darker, would be more effective, but overall still pretty effective. Now, Spearmint has a lot, and it is not mid, so we're going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's good, but it's not great just yet. Now, next up is Plum. Now, Plum does it. That title slide, that title font immediately pops out to me, and the colors match up well. This is the only one I'd say that white actually does work. White and a darkish purple. It works together. It makes the white pop out, specifically with the black text, and the text font itself, again, wonderful. This text font, for those who want to know, is Railway. I like Railway. Railway is a good title font. Now, moving on to the main text box, the gray is good. Okay? Simple is good. You know, you have nothing but gray and black. It doesn't get much better than that. You know, you don't have to overcomplicate yourself with geometric features and everything. You just gotta have the gray and white, the gray and black. Easy on the eyes. If my teacher put this up, I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Next up, Paperback. Now, Paperback carries some of the Spearmint energy, but better. The main title slide, the green, even teal, we're gonna call that teal, with the black and the white font, matches up really well. And then this one is Old Standard TT font. Now, Old Standard TT font, there's improvements on it, but I think it generally has potential. You know, it's not that, it doesn't stick out so much to where it distracts you, but it does bring your attention. Now, the main text box slides, gray, that's what I'm talking about. A little bit more gray, a little bit darker compared to Spearmint. And then it keeps the teal on the bottom, much more effective than Spearmint. And if we're going to give Spearmint a 7 out of 10, Paperback is going to get a solid 8 out of 10. Next up, Modern Writer. Now, here is where I get a little bit confused. Modern Writer shares a lot of similarities with Coral, except Modern Writer has a hotter pink. And good God, this title slide is so vibrant that in a dark classroom, it might as well have the lights on. The light might as well fall off the roof and be right in my face as I'm getting blinded. I might as well be staring into the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. God damn, why is it so bright? Now, I understand it pops out, but let's be honest. If you're in high school and you're using this, no, yeah, exactly. You never heard of that because no one uses this. I don't think I've ever seen anybody even mention Modern Writer. I don't even think I've ever seen them consider Modern Writer because this title slide is very unappealing, but once you start staring at it a little bit, it hurts your eyes. Now, the main text slide, again, simple gray. That's what's going to do it. If you keep the simple gray up with the cool 3 dotted lines, that's wonderful. So, because of that, we're going to have to give it a 6 out of 10. So, it's the title side's weird, but the main text slide does make up for it. Now, next up, my personal favorite, Geometric. I used to rock Geometric no matter what. This was my slide theme. Slide no matter what, okay? And I just think the blue slide, it immediately settles at like, oh, okay, so this is the classroom. You know, that blue light to damage your eyes. Who doesn't like to get their eyes damaged? The geometric features on the top, you know, if you start getting bored of reading the title while the person is yapping about their name and the nonsense, you can look at the geometric features and they're really nice. You can make out triangles, rectangles, squares. Now, the main text slide, wonderful. The gray, the pink, and the blue match up perfectly. The only complaint I could have is, why are you putting blue title color? Doesn't fit. If this were black, that would have been the 10 out of 10. But even then, it still has all the requisites to a awesome title, awesome Google Slides theme, and it's going to get the 9.5 out of 10. The current highest rating out of all of them. Now moving on. Good lord. I thought Modern Writer was bad. Pop is insane. The blue and the yellow, holy crap. You're in a low-lit classroom. I could turn my lights off in my room right now. And again, you might as well have my phone camera turn on the flashlight and just like have it stare into my retina until I just can't see anymore. Helen Keller type shit. Now, moving on, it actually is somewhat visually appealing. But I just don't like the yellow. It sticks out too much and it just kind of gives you... Yellow fills you with that unserious energy. And if you're doing a Google Slides presentation, you want to be taken seriously. Geometric does a very good job at this. But Pop makes it seem like, oh, I'm a kid. It's fun. But I think the actual... In fact, it actually does carry with the font for the title. It says Playfair Display. That is the font for the title. Playfair Display. Now, it carries that fun tone. And honestly, I can appreciate this for, you know, what it is. You know, it's fun. If you're like in a class full of elementary schoolers and maybe early middle schoolers, this is going to be pretty good. Now, moving on to the main text slide. Why is the title highlighted on this? It's ridiculous. You don't need to highlight it. Again, you're doing too much. It's simple gray with black. The title font starts to grow on you. Oswald is a good title font. And then Playfair Display for the actual text. Good. But you shouldn't highlight it. It just takes away from it. And I think that's going to bring it down to a 7 out of 10. You know, you can appreciate it for what it is, but they're trying too hard at this point. Now, the next Google Slides theme is going to be Lux. Now, Lux, the initial title slide. It's pretty good, you know. It carries the same energy as a previous one. What I believe was, let me look back on this. It carries that same coral energy where it's a box. But better, because now you no longer have to deal with the salmon color, which honestly not the most appealing color. You know, could have been better, but generally it's good. You know, you can add pictures around it, you can change the background. I would again veer away from the white, and then the main title font is going to be Economia, decent one, but I would not exactly go for it. And then the main text box slides. The gray, again, the gray and the brown, similar to Paperback, similar to Spearmint. I feel like Spearmint and Paperback have it a little bit better with that teal, but this still works pretty well. And I'm going to have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, blue and gold is an interesting one. If the blue and gold was the actual theme and the actual background, it would be too similar to Pop. So what did they do? They put the gold on the subtitle where you put your name. Now, why? Just leave it white. You're trying too hard again. You're trying too hard, okay? It's the same thing as highlighting the title to the main text box slides. You're just trying too hard. You don't need to try this hard. Keep it white, keep it simple. And then, good God, these text box slides. Not only are they doing the travesty of matching up gray with yellow, which is a terrible color combination, but now, again, they have the light gray with the white text color. Why? Why are you doing this? It's awful. I can't read it. And again, if you're in the back of the classroom, you're not going to be writing notes on shit. You could have that on your phone propped up trying to, like, because you can't fucking read the actual projector, you're going to be, like, writing, and you still can't read it on your phone because it meshes too well. Okay? And it doesn't mesh well in the sense that it looks good combined. It just blends in so effectively that you can barely read it. So honestly, blue and gold, you just try too hard and then you flop miserably. 4.5 out of 10. Worst one by far. Because yellow and gray plus the white text, awful. Awful. No matter how good your tile site is, if you're doing this travesty, if you're doing this absolute abomination, you're not getting anything good. Moving on to the next one, we have Tropic. Now, the Tropic tile site is wonderful. You know, has good, the shapes and the design of it is actually visually appealing, really visually appealing. And I would actually argue that the orange title color works better because it has teal. If you had matched, like for example, blue and gold, if you had matched a blue and orange, would have worked better because blue, this color, blue specifically, and orange work well. They blend in together, they match together well. Now, again, we love the gray and the blue, and honestly, with the blue, the orange matches up well again. This is how you do matching colors. This matches up well. Because of that, I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of 10. It does leave some to be desired, but you know what? Actually, scratch that. We're going to give this an 8 out of 10. It's good. It's really good, but it's not great. Coming towards the end of our list, we're going to have Marina. Now, the Marina color scheme and the Marina title side design follows the same as Lux, but in a bigger scale. It's just a bigger box. And honestly, I like that. It fills it up a bit more. You know, you're not going to add a lot of pictures to your tile slide. That's just, you're trying a little bit too hard if you're doing that. So this fills it up a bit more, fills up the space. And overall, pretty effective. The color's effective. And the green subtitle actually works in this. And then, sadly, you have to acknowledge that Marina falls off. Because even though it has gray and a little blue mark, which works well, why does Google keep putting white color text on gray font? I mean, on gray backgrounds. It doesn't work. You can't read it. Please seek help. I don't want to talk about this anymore because of this. It's getting a 5 out of 10. I'm getting sick and tired. Sadly, Marina, if I had started you off earlier in the list, you would have a better rating, but I'm just tired of this. Google, do better. Coming in at the last one of our list, Game Day. Now, Game Day is weird. It's a weird one in the sense that the white, I don't like it. The orange, I don't like it. The blue somehow makes its entire thing mesh well. Okay? The big text, the little blue, and then the white. I don't know why. That just works. Now, I can't explain it, but it works. And then, again, you take away the blue that you did in Tropic, and you keep it on Game Day. You keep the orange title on the gray background. Pretty good. To finish off this list, we're going to have a solid 7 out of 10. Now, overall, the biggest flaw I saw in a lot of these is, for the love of God, Google, change it to where you're no longer putting white text on a gray background. Do us all that favor, and a lot of these would change. Some of these would get 8 out of 10s, and maybe one of them would have gone that glorious 10 out of 10. But sadly, the closest we got to the 10 out of 10 was Geometric, and therefore it's going to be today's winner. Thank you guys so much for watching.